Hey team, glad you could join me today. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's so happy to have you here with us today. I normally write a blog, and as I was writing it, I did have a lot of words on a piece of paper. It lacked feeling and it lacked meaning. I had 1,100 words that lacked feeling and lacked meaning. I said, you know what, man, I might as well just cut a video and see if I can't put all this thing together. And what I want to talk about today is being an empathetic leader. That's something that I struggled with, I think, in the beginning of my career. As a matter of fact, it's not, I think, I know I did, because I felt that I had a certain image that I had to portray, which was not something that was actually real. It was something that was made up in my mind. This is who I should be. This is how I should be. And I never allowed anyone to see anything other than that exterior presentation, that figure that maybe you see on a poster, man, with no faults, no life experiences, all discipline and regulations and policies and metrics and goals and everything else in between that has absolutely nothing to do with people's struggles in life and what makes a person a person. But as time went by, I started to learn a little bit more, and I started to become a little more of an empathetic leader, and I started to understand who people were and how to best support them as a person, which absolutely built a stronger team. So what I want to talk to you today about, I'm looking at my table like the answers are right here. What I want to talk to you today about is how to become a more empathetic leader. Maybe some keys to being a more empathetic leader. Too much pollen, my throat is itching. And I'm gonna put on my old man glasses because I do have some notes that I want to share with you. So let me bring these slides up. Now, the first one to be an empathetic leader is just to be real. You've got to be real. You can't be that dude that I was, because people can't relate to you. People are not going to come to you if they think that you're not going to understand, because how could Sloan understand, man? He's perfect. He doesn't have any trials and tribulations in his life. He's never been through this. Why would I share my problems and issues and barriers with him? Because he's not going to understand. He's going to tell me to rub some dirt on it. He's going to tell me, suck it up, buttercup. When reality is, I need someone who will listen to me. And in order to be somebody who is authentic, you've got to build those type relationships where you're willing to be transparent to the point of vulnerability. Because once you start doing that, then you're more authentic to those you have been entrusted to lead. And that helps to build the team and helps to build trust. And it means they'll come to you when they have issues. So you've got to start off, number one, with being authentic. The second one is focus your attention. One of the things I used to love to do, man, once I learned that being an empathetic leader was probably one of the most important traits that I could ever have. One of the things I used to love to do is, man, I would take my chair. So if the office was set up in a way where the desk is kind of the barrier to communication, it's between you and the person, maybe it's a small room or whatnot, I'd take my chair and I'd move it out from behind that desk, man. I'd make sure we were face to face. I would also turn off all electronics, make sure that the computer was turned away, that my cell phone and or my desk phone were nowhere close to my touch. And then I would tell people, whoever was there to help me, don't let me be disturbed. And then I'm face to face and I'm listening. I'm focusing my attention on the person who is there talking to me. To them, the most important thing in the world to me is them. And while you're focusing your attention, you've got to be an active listener. So part of that focusing your attention is being an active listener. And what I mean by active listener is, don't think about what you're going to say next. I love this story, man. It was late in the day, and most people within our organization had already gone home for the day. And this young man stopped me in the hallway and he said, "Hey, can I speak to you for a minute?" He said, "Absolutely, you can speak to me." I said, "Come on over here." So we stood against the windows and he talked and I listened. But I'm not sure I was doing the best listening that I could do, because the reality is the more he talked and shared his struggles and challenges with me, the more I thought, man, I can fix these things. So I'm not necessarily focusing in on him. I'm focusing in on the resolution when I really should have just been listening. So he just kept on talking and talking and talking. And I'm looking for a break because in my mind, the plan is there, man. I'm already ready to fix this. The plan is there. I'm ready. And he keeps on talking and keeps on talking. About 30, 45 minutes go by. He reaches out his hand. He shakes my hand. He said, "Thank you so much for spending some time with me. You have been a tremendous help." And as he scurried away, man, I wanted to reach out and grab him by the back of the collar and say, "Get your butt back here." I haven't helped. But the reality is I did help. I was an active listener. I listened to him. I was in the moment. I paid attention to him. He didn't need for me to solve his problems. One of the worst things that you can do for the people you care about is do for them what they can do for themselves. So what he needed for me to do was simply to listen. And ultimately, in spite of my wanting to fix things, that's what I did. I listened. Number 3, set the example. When you're in a leadership position, people are paying attention to you. They see everything that you do, whether you're at work or at the gym or at a restaurant. It doesn't matter where you are. Your people are seeing you, they're observing you, and they're paying attention to what you're doing. If the words that are coming out your mouth are not matching your actions, then you're not believable. If you're not setting the example in everything that you do, then it creates little cracks of trust. So you absolutely have to set the example. The most powerful leadership tool that you will ever possess is the example that you set. Be vulnerable. Now, I kind of mentioned that a little bit. And I got to be honest, man, I just don't think that I was always vulnerable. I remember a period of time in my life, probably 4 to 6 years. Yeah, about 4 to 6 years. Well, I had some pretty significant things happening in my life, personal things. And I took all those little personal things and I boxed them up nice and neat into a brown box, taped it up, put it in the corner of the closet, and didn't let it out. So my inability to show my own vulnerability created a situation where others were not eager to share theirs with me. And if we're going to have a real human connection, we've got to be open and honest with each other and be willing to share our dreams and our fears and be able to share our trials and tribulations. And if we're not willing to do that as a leader, then how can you expect others to share those things with us? And now you can't be an empathetic leader. You can't be somebody who understands if you've already boxed all your stuff up and somebody else is laying it out. And in your mind, do like me, put your stuff in a box, put it in the closet, we'll be okay. But that's not how everybody deals with things. So you've got to be vulnerable to the point where people can relate to you. Acknowledge success. A few weeks back, man, I was putting up a ceiling fan. Just a regular old ceiling fan, but it was a ceiling fan. If I told you I put up a ceiling fan in my living room, you're probably going to think, no big deal, right? It's a ceiling fan. Get over yourself, man. You put up a ceiling fan. People do it every day. What if I told you that I put it up on a 20-foot ceiling with an 8-foot down tube, standing on a ladder, trying to balance this heavy freaking 60-inch ceiling fan all by myself? You're still thinking, come on, man, that's no real big deal. It's a ceiling fan. Who cares? Well, what if I told you that a week prior to doing that, I was putting in some hardwood floor and I smashed my thumb, about took the end of it off. And I was having to basically put that ceiling fan up with one hand. Now you're starting to get with me and you're like, well, that could have been kind of tough. You're trying to do that with 2 hands and you're got one opposable thumb is no longer working for you. but you're still not on board. What if I add that I also need a left knee replacement and damn hernia surgery? And the only reason why I haven't had those two done is because I just got through my first week of chemotherapy. Now you're starting to understand. Now you're starting to say, whoa, that putting up that ceiling fan is a big deal. Well, you know, when people accomplish things within our organizations, to you it may not be a big deal, but you don't know everything that went on behind the accomplishment of that goal or task. So you need to default to celebrating all accomplishments, man. Make everything a big deal. And it may be something as big as an award ceremony where you've got everybody around, or it may be something as simple, which is incredibly powerful. It's just a note, just a handwritten note, man. It said, hey, Tim, you did a great job on that project. I know that you were dealing with some stuff and it was a little bit of a challenge for you, but I got to tell you how proud I am. And then just leave it on the desk, man. Don't even make a big deal out of it. Don't make it seem like it's about you. Just focus in on them. Leave the note for them to find. Or maybe just hand it to them and pat them on the back and say thank you. And that's it. Don't even make a big deal out of it at that point. And they go back and they read it. And it's incredibly powerful because you've acknowledged their success. You've not only acknowledged their success, you've acknowledged their struggle. And that starts to create that human connection because that person's going to go, man, he does get me. He does understand. He knows more about me than I thought he knew about me. And that connection is going to create higher levels of trust and a stronger connection. Understand nonverbal communication. Leaders think they need to talk. They think they need to provide a resolution. And like I said just a few minutes ago, the worst thing you can do for the people that you care about is do for them what they can do for themselves. Probably one of the best pieces of advice my father ever gave me was, Tim, you know what? Sometimes you should just shut the F up. And as a leader, sometimes we just need to quit talking, man. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason so that you can listen. And when you're talking and you're not paying attention and you're missing out on those nonverbal communication, then you have no idea where they are emotionally. And while they're talking to you, you've got to pay attention. Don't just listen to the words. Pay attention to their affect. Yeah, it's easy if somebody's sharing some deep, dark secrets with you and they start to cry. You've got it, man. That's an emotion that's easy to follow. But there's other keys, behaviors, nonverbal communication that will let you know there's something going on with this person. And that's when it's time to start asking questions. Start digging a little bit. Not so much where they feel like you're being invasive, but to the point where it shows that you care enough to ask. And that's the last one. Ask questions, man. Ask questions early and often. And as a leader, if the only thing you discuss is that metric or that bar graph, and that's the only thing you ask questions about is the work, then that's not going to build that connection that an empathetic leader needs to build. You need to ask questions about who they are, what their dreams are, what their goals are. How was their day? Not just how you doing today? How was your day? How's the family? Do you know their brothers and sisters? Do you know their names? Do you know what their struggles are? Do you know mother and father? Do you know their names? You know what their struggles are? You know what their daughters and sons and their entire family? Do you know their pet's name? Do you know your people? You can't be an empathetic person if you don't know your people, and you won't know your people unless you ask questions. Absolutely got to get to know your folks. Again, for me, man, it took a while. It did. It really did. It took a point where I slowed down enough to realize people are more important than the work. If you build strong teams by being an empathetic leader, the work will take care of itself. The goals will be achieved. Excellence will be the bar because you're building a strong team because they are loyal to you and you are loyal to them because you are an understanding leader. Hey, listen, I really am happy you guys were able to join me today. I hope in some small way, shape, or form, this little bit of guidance was able to help you. Uh, and It's just like anything else in this world, man. There are people that are born with that empathetic gene but most of us, we've got to develop these leadership traits. And being a leader and developing as a leader is a lifelong journey. So don't be afraid to reach outside of your comfort zone and experiment with these things that are tried and true to build the team and get the absolute best out of your people and aspire to inspire them. Have a great evening.